Hey everybody, Brett Rice, coreVISION Financial Group. Hey, coming to you today with another video in our series on financial topics and things going on here at coreVISION. Today we're joined by Beau Browning, partner here at coreVISION, who we're going to give an update on what's going on with the firm. But also, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our videos, to our channel, so you're notified when we post new videos. So, Beau, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So
I appreciate you doing these all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun series to watch. As soon as they get released, try to listen to it in my car. So I appreciate you being on all of them so that I don't have to. This is nice.
Talking about listening to them, we're going to start putting all of them out as audio files.
Great.
So people will have the opportunity to just listen to the audio if you're somewhere with no video or
Yep.
don't care about the video.
Yep.
The audio only version is going to be available soon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I really enjoy doing them. I have a pretty good time in here with everybody when they come in and we sit down and we talk about all these topics.
It seems like it. You've probably gotten a lot more relaxed now than you were, 3 years ago when we started doing this?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. Not a lot. I mean, it's always weird looking at yourself on a video recording.
Right.
You're like, the camera really adds 15 pounds.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty
boy.
good.
So, Beau, why don't you introduce yourself in case it's somebody who's not seen you on the podcast before?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Beau Browning, partner here at coreVISION Financial Group. I think this is my 19th year in the industry. I currently reside in Fishers, but I'm from Shelbyville, graduate of Shelbyville High School, went to Wabash College. I live in Fishers now with my wife and two daughters, Michaela and Capri.
Sweet. Well, again, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
So, we're going to give an update on the state of the firm.
I think it's a great time.
So, a year ago, we made the transition to RIA. You want to kind of briefly explain that transition to people?
Yep. The way we were affiliated with LPL before was as Investment Advisor Representatives, IAR. In the next acronym, we're going to use the same three letters jumbled up. So we are now a registered investment advisor. What that means basically is that our compliance previously done through a home office conduit. Brent served as our compliance officer here, but it was more of a pass-through entity. As a registered investment advisor, we have to seek our own compliance officer. Some groups do that with a big conglomerate RIA, where that RIA is basically seeking many advisory firms to go underneath them, and they'll do all their compliance work for a percentage and yada, yada, yada. We chose to go a different path by hiring our own compliance officer, Grant Reeves. He's got his education and background in legal work.
Grant was a guest on the podcast last month.
Okay, perfect. So Grant's, I remember that. Grant's got his law degree. He has been serving in that capacity now for a year and a half. We brought him on board to kind of take the reins about 6 months prior to the transition. When we made the transition, a lot of our clients are going to remember the phone call, talked about repapering. We had to get some signatures on
Just
accounts.
2 signatures.
Yeah. Yeah, let's point that out to Jason, right? So we had a few signatures, more than 2, to, complete the paperwork to be compliant on the RIA side. The majority of our client base at this point is advisory business. So what that means is that relationship is built off of a fiduciary standard and a fee-based compensation model. In an RIA firm, we are fiduciaries. We charge our clients a percentage of assets. As the assets, or AUM, assets under management, go up, that fee can come down. And so all of our relationships are really built off of, if they are making money, we are making money. The goal is common. We both want to grow those assets over time. It eliminates the conflict of interest of traditional commission-based products. So a lot of freedom and flexibility in that type of model. We'll run through a couple of those things, but that's a little bit of the history.
So thanks for that, Beau. So what has changed in the transition? So when we made the transition, what are differences from before to today?
Yeah. So the biggest one for the background, and again, I say this doesn't really impact clients near as much as it does our own internal workings. or we hired a compliance officer, as I just discussed, in Grant. He will have a direct link with the SEC, who now does our audits over FINRA. FINRA did our audits before with the broker-dealer. Now the SEC does. And Grant will lead the charge there. And there's a lot of nuanced things that you have to do for documenting conversations, record keeping, all that kind of stuff. We got to check a lot of boxes. And so he's making sure that all those boxes are continuously checked. Why a lot of firms go RIA, why you've seen some explosion in that space over the last decade, is because there's less conflict of interest, as I had discussed, with fee-based planning, advising. There's a lot more. Go ahead.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, about the conflict of interest and, say best interest for the client?
Sure. So I think where it gets a little convoluted is our industry has always had product, whether it be advisory or retail, that have different commission structures, like extremely different commission structures. Some of them you could get paid up front, all up front. Some of them you could get, you could have a upfront payment with a small trail. Some of them don't come with any upfront payment, but a larger trail. Some of them are just the same fee annually over and over. I think in our industry, the reason for navigating more toward an RIA basis is because you eliminate the majority of those structures, with the exception of that fee-based model, which basically is built on assets under management. As your AUM increases, your fee decreases. It's pretty cut and dry. Everybody falls under the same system. It's fair and equitable. Where I think it eliminates the conflict of interest more than anything is, if your money's going up, we are going to make more money. If your money is going down, we are going to make less.
And also, I think a lot of the conflict of interest is alleviated through the scope of products that are available to us.
Yes, I would completely agree. I think
we're not beholden to any one family.
That's correct.
Or fund or whatever you want to call them.
Beforehand, you had some restrictions on the platform as to what you could buy, what you couldn't buy, what might come with a fee, what might not. We have the tiniest bit of tape now with some trading costs on our end. Again, we do not pass that on to the customer at this firm. You could make that choice, but we eat those transaction costs. Some of that is still there in the background for us. Most of that has been eliminated. But the bigger thing is we have no restriction as far as product goes. We have a lot more opportunity to provide a larger swath of product to the client than we did before.
Yeah, like in the same account, you can hold stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, everything in one account. Whereas, historically, you'd have had to have a brokerage account. You could have had to have different types of accounts. Correct.
And LPL has been on, at least they're on alert and aware, and they are in developmental process. Sometimes, it might take longer than we hope to come out with things, but I think the industry as a whole is headed toward what would be called a unified managed account, where you could have inside one account type, you could have multiple different products, not even just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs, but structured products like an annuity or a REIT or cash positions, and charge differently on each of those positions. That at some point down the line, within, I would hope, the next 5 years, but let's say decade, you'll start to see that become more common practice. The ability to charge less on cash, the ability to charge a little more maybe on something that is more volatile, like a stock, equity, a mutual fund, or a variable annuity, whatever it might be, but still have that all built into one component and all that same cash type in one account, instead of being spread over 5 different accounts because you're trying to manage them and charge different fees.
So other differences, technology.
That's one of the main ones as well. We have a large swath, plethora, whatever word you want to use, of technology available to us. I recently have implemented a new software program called Asset Map. We're excited to roll that out. It's going to be more of a feature on the planning side, but what clients are going to really like about it is it's customizable, but it's tailored toward a situation where probably more like estate planning. because it's showing your financial situation on one page.
It's visual. It's very visual.
It is.
That when you look at it, you can understand, hey, there's all these different, the way it's laid out shows all your different assets and liabilities, all of that on the I agree with you. I think it's a great way to move clients to a visual representation of their estate.
We can dive into details of a financial plan and get lost a lot of times. And if we have that asset map, which has a detailed one-pager to it that really comes with, hey, this is what I have here, 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 and here. Here's my life insurance. Here's the home we own. If something were to happen to you or your spouse, you can refer back to it. If something were to happen to both of you, you could refer to it. It's a good page to go over with your kids or maybe somebody that is your trustee of your estate so they kind of know where some things are. But it's nice to have your financial situation bookmarked on one page.
Yeah.
Instead of an 83-page report that it means a lot to us, but I think sometimes clients can get lost in it because it's not quite as visually stimulating as something as easy to read as a one-page financial net worth summary.
Well, I think a lot of the value in the Money Guide Pro plans is behind the scenes.
Sure.
When you drill down into those details and you're like, hey, we end up with this, but this is how we're going to get there. These are the steps. That you're saying it gets lost in that 69-page printout.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is overwhelming.
You're right.
Whereas Asset Map, in my opinion, just summarizes that whole financial plan and just, hey, these are the building blocks for that financial plan. We maintain these, they feed into that, and we should be good to go.
Yeah. No, I mean, not trying to be demeaning to anybody, but it's literally your financial life on a single piece of paper.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is great.
I mean, right, the complaints.
It just makes it an easy tool for people to use, whether it's in that estate mode or it's in sharing with someone that is in the need to know category. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think everybody gets lost in the weeds of those huge financial plans, right? That's been the complaint about them for decades. They're so big.
Right.
The complaint is you get a binder, fill it up, you put it on a bookshelf, and you never open it again.
That's right. Well, and a lot of it can be those data pages that are leading to those reports, as you said, are included in there. And most people are lost by what those data pages actually mean or say. But they have to be included from a compliance standpoint.
Sure.
Asset Maps figured out a way to... I mean, they have disclosures, but you're able to put things on one piece of paper and allow somebody to get a good, clear picture of what they have.
Yeah. The first time I sat through it, I was like, this is amazing. I love this. I love the visual representation of it on that page.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought it was
where
nice
I found
and
it?
clean.
Michael Kitsis.
Yeah.
He's always got...
The FinTech map?
Yeah, that FinTech map. And it really, it was under the category of visual, like visually professional, something, I can't remember the exact words.
Sure.
And I just felt like we needed a little something more visually stimulating than what the Money Guide Pro was providing. So, but again, we're able to offer that. We can utilize vendor affinity program with LPL for people that are affiliated with it, and we don't have to if, in our position now, if they're not in vendor affinity program, we don't have to use them.
Right. Yeah,
or we can use them. Either way.
Yeah, I think the flexibility to go out and explore what else is out there outside of what's in the LPL program, I think is huge for us to be able to do that.
It is. Completely agree.
So we choose to handle compliance directly with the SEC internally as opposed to running that through LPL. So kind of walk us through like that decision to do that, because right now we're dealing directly with the Securities and Exchange Commission, right?
Correct.
Which is a little, intimidating when you first think about it and you start looking at it.
Yeah. So there's two governing bodies, and basically FINRA governs the broker-dealers, and the SEC is going to govern the registered investment advisors. So in doing that, you open yourself up to a little bit more scrutiny, but it gives you much more flexibility over how you're spending your compliance dollars, what technologies you want to leverage for that. We use Advisor Assist. I think Grant's on there every single day. It gives him the ability to leverage some automated processes that are helpful to him and his day-to-day. But I think more than anything, again, it was going back to the flexibility of what we have. The SEC will always do routine audits, but we feel as though we have a little bit more control over how the business operates on day-to-day without some restrictions of what LPL would command or demand on a corporate side when we were structured more like an employee of the broker-dealer.
So where does coreVISION go from here?
That's a great question. That's what I had just worked on last week with Brittany. We're getting our 2024 State of the Firm completed, the brochure marketing material that we use every year, hand that out to our clients, email it to our clients.
I'm a big fan of the flip book.
Yeah, it's a great flip book. Yeah, the digital awesome. Flip book. Yeah. So we've got multiple ways to access that. However, we're just recreating that from 2023, updating it. coreVISION, fortunately, we've been blessed. We've had great growth. I think this past year was the first time we didn't really hire anybody new for a while.
But we still brought on Grant.
That's true. That was about 18 months ago, but you're right. He was in the last State of the Firm. But I think there was a period there where we hired like 3 people before we kind of made that transition over the last 12 months. We haven't had to do that. And I think with the staff that we have great capacity to be able to continue to grow, but provide the service for our existing client base. I think a big theme that has happened over the last 12 months as I was writing some of these words in our State of the Firm, I always try to write a letter at the beginning of that. Artificial intelligence has kind of dominated the marketplace. Outside of a couple of geopolitical events, which are also equally important, and often sad with what's going on. Aside from that, artificial intelligence has kind of dominated the market. AI. What is AI? NVIDIA. What are chip makers? What are semiconductors? All that stuff. Some people may even talk about NVIDIA stock and may even own it and not really know what it is. But computer chips, the things that basically go into every electronic that we have, by the way, they continue to get smaller and smaller, but also do have more capacity, more speed, more processing speed. I mean, it's unbelievable how much that world is changing. I do wonder if people remember a decade ago when everybody kept talking about Internet of Things. It's kind of like all of your appliances, all of your phones, everything interconnected. These chips are making everything process faster. You're able to, your phone can now be your car key or your TV remote. Artificial intelligence has now created, Chat GPT, which is something that everybody, again, talks about. Some people may be aware of what it is, what it isn't. It's basically a data gathering center that is pulling information from every possible location and source that it possibly can and bringing it to you, handed to you within seconds. That, I think, will only enhance our business. A lot of people have concern that robots replace everything in the future. I think that robots or computer systems can go hand in hand with the human component. The one thing that I really believe, what AI will do for us is it will enhance our offerings. It will automate what needs to be automated. So some of the mundane tasks, rebalancing, which you do on a monthly basis here at coreVISION.
I spent all morning doing rebalance.
Yeah. Some of that stuff will probably begin to be automated by enhanced systems that come from artificial intelligence. But it won't be able to replicate the human component of empathy, emotional, and behavioral investing. And there is a lot of coaching that goes behind that. I've spoken on this topic many times. I think we've done at least 2 podcasts on it. Last time we did with the hospital.
Yeah, psychology of money.
Yeah. There will always be a human element that I do believe there is a massive market for financial advisors. I think it's an important field. I really do view us just as doctors are to your medical situation. Advisors are to your financial situation, as attorneys would be to your legal situation. That's how important I believe in what we do. Some of the mundane tasks can be taken over by AI, but you'll still have a need for that human component, and that's where we come in. And we can pull the strings with the technology and put all that information together.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a tool we use going forward. You know, you always hear all the concerns, right? And I think that that's got to be brought up in the beginning. And I don't want to get off on a tangent here. I can talk about AI for a minute. But I do think there are some great things that have already came out of using AI. You talked about ChatGPT.
Oh, my gosh. What a lifesaver on certain things.
Oh, ask it a question and you'll get a huge response. Yeah, it's great. I think it's fantastic.
Now, I don't know. You have kids that are older than me in places basically that they could have ChatGPT write their papers. Are you seeing that happen at schools all the time? I'm not saying your kids are, but
my daughter's in college. She said every paper she turns in is ran through a thing checking that if it was generated on AI.
Oh, so now they even have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can know.
Yeah, she said
which is good. Obviously, you don't want to take.
And supposedly it's like automatic suspension or something if you get caught using it.
Okay.
So that's what my daughter has told me.
Wow.
But she said it's prevalent. It's everywhere.
I would imagine. And there are those things that we are, I think that have passed through Congress and whatnot on, they worry about ethics in the future, or are the computers and the robots and whatever, if we continue to enhance, is there a chance they could take over us as the dominant race? I'm not going to get into all those details, but I think there are panels within Congress that try to keep some of those things in check.
Maybe they can replace the politicians.
I think that would probably make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I would think so too. So let's talk about in the last year, we started the transition thing. Let's talk about the market performance for the last 12 months.
Yeah, that's great. So market has been awesome over the last 12 months. I mean, majority of people are up anywhere from 12 to the low 20 percentiles, depending on their, equity bond ratio. So it's been a strong bounce back from what was a terrible 2022. We really had almost 18 months of run up. We did have a little blip where last year from about July to October, that third quarter took a little bit of had a pullback, a little bit, about a 10, 12% correction. And then since then we've moved higher. Markets are almost at their all-time high as we sit today. If we were talking 2 weeks ago, I think they were at their all-time high, which is wildly, I think a lot of people, have been baffled by the timing of that and kind of some of the geopolitical stuff going on, unrest, obviously, in this country with everything that's political, and an election coming up. Everybody thinks an election year affects it. Truthfully, if we look back at historical election years, the market has done pretty well in election years. And again, I stress this, and it's not from any other realm than looking at what the market has done under leadership. The more important thing is a split Congress. If there is a split Congress, the stock market tends to do better by a significant margin than if both houses are dominated by one party. So if there's anything to root for, I guess, it would be a split Congress.
Well, remember when we had Ryan on a long time ago, Ryan Dietrich, he talked about that specifically.
Yep.
That, we kind of, as far as the financial markets, love to have a split between the three. So then that way it's not one party running around doing whatever they'd like to do.
Yeah. Completely agree. And all we're doing is really taking the history of the market and what it's done and applying it to these situations. And historically, that's what it's proven. In our minds,
73% of the time, the market is up.
That is correct. So, and again, that is part of the human component of coaching people through those emotional roller coasters. I think as we sit, obviously the market's been good for 18 months, tend to also probably in election years see this period usually from April, but we had a little blippy April and a much better May. Normally from about April to October, you'll see it a little wishy-washy. Up, down, doesn't necessarily mean it's down. When I use those terms, some people think that's straight down. Or if I say volatile, they think it's straight down. It's not. It means it'll go up 1 week, down another week, up 1 week, down another week. As we push about 6 weeks closer to the election, you tend to see markets start to take off, and they're actually usually good for the next 6 months. So that's probably what you can expect if history does repeat itself, barring something crazy from a geopolitical standpoint that we can't predict. We always face headwinds, but the market is resilient and always makes it through. That's proven itself time and again.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Beau, in closing, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'd like to, thank our clients for their trust, their continued partnership with us, especially through such a big undertaking in this transition last year that we made. It was really pretty easy. And the ease of that, I think, is a testament to the strong relationships that we have with our clients. We were able to make that move in a relatively short amount of time. So thank you to everybody for that. Another thank you to the clients is I have been over the moon. I've been overwhelmed. I've been extremely happy with how resilient our clients have been in the face of everything going on in the world today. The market has been resilient. Our clients have remained resilient along with the market. And that lends to a lot easier path for outcomes for both the client and us. And for that, I want to thank everybody, because I think that's probably a testament to the continual behavioral coaching that we try to provide everybody in sticking with the markets and seeing it out through the long term. That's been amazing.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. It's nice, I'm going to say, that when you call somebody and you say, hey, we're making this massive change, you walk them through all the steps, everything's going on, and they're like, absolutely. You have that relationship with them that, you're going to explain it to them in a way that they're going to understand. They're going to ask questions, you're going to answer them, and then they're like, yeah, let's do it.
And a lot of these issues that we're facing are complex, and you have to break down what you're talking about with compliance with real human beings so that they, can understand it and make a good, informed decision. I love the people that are with us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have them on our boat.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, Beau.
Yep.
Appreciate your time. Thanks again for watching. Brett Rice, Beau Browning, coreVISION Financial Group. Go to our YouTube page, subscribe, get notified when we post a video. Thank you for taking your time. Appreciate it.